What's up, Bears Nation? You are listening to the Chi-Town Blitz Report, the podcast that brings you in-depth analysis and unique perspectives on the Chicago Bears. Join me, Tasha Pierce, as I break down the latest news, game highlights, and player performances. We are here to talk all things Bears, from the good to the bad and the ugly. We'll laugh, we'll cry, we'll cheer, and maybe we'll laugh, and maybe we'll cry, and maybe we'll even throw a few Hail Marys. So bear down, Bears Nation, and let the show begin. All right, Bears Nation, we know that we have very high hopes for the Chicago Bears this season, especially since we have what could eventually turn into a franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams, and he's got some targets. He's got some people to get the ball to. So my expectations are very high, and they usually are for the Chicago Bears. Now, full disclosure, I kind of fell off of the NFL for a few seasons because, you know, the social temperature of the time. I was reading the room, and the room wasn't looking good at the time. I have been talked into getting off of the couch and getting more involved with our Chicago Bears again this year. And so I have to get caught back up on where the Bears stand as far as their offense, as far as their defense, as far as special teams. And look, a lot of it looks great. I think our offense is looking up. Our special teams under Cairo Santos, he's almost good as gold. And then we have our defense. And our defense struggles against the pass, but is the bomb against the run. So I expect them to, get things figured out as far as pass defense goes this season. What we're looking at now is the schedule. And to be honest, for all of our expectation, it seems like the schedule is working in our favor. Now, if you've looked at the Chicago Bears schedule for the season, you know that the back half is stacked heavy with our divisional games. So it's going to be very important to, stagger those games and to win some of those games if we want to be in playoff contention without having to rely on that wild card. I'll take a wild card because we got a tough division. So I'll take the wild card, but I would rather for us to be in a position to win the division. I haven't looked at the Green Bay Packers schedule, and I haven't looked at the Detroit Lions schedule, because their schedule is going to dictate how good we can expect them to be this year. So let's just be honest. Do I expect us to beat those teams? I always expect us to beat those teams. But it is imperative that this first half of the season, everything before the bye, goes exactly to plan. We got a bye in week 7, so nothing happening in week 7. The games that are leading up to week 7. In week 1, we play against Tennessee. Last season, Tennessee ended 6-11. We should be able to beat Tennessee. Our second game is the Houston Texans, which I'm based in Houston. That is our second game. It is a primetime game, and it is in Houston. And that one looks like an L to me, y'all. If me being honest, it looks like an L. If we win, I'm going to be super excited, but I'm not going to be super disappointed if we lose. Going into week 3, we have the Indianapolis Colts. That one is a regular noon game. And Indianapolis Colts last season were 9-8. That's a winnable game to me. That's a winnable game, and we'll be at the Indianapolis Colts. The next 2 games are home games. Those will be against the Los Angeles Rams and the Carolina Panthers. Both games should be winnable, but I fully expect to beat the Carolina Panthers. If we play well and our deficiencies are not amplified, we might have a chance against the LA Rams. We should definitely beat the Carolina Panthers. And then we have the London game, and that one is Sunday, October 13th. That one is against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they ended up 9-8 last season. Winnable game. We can win that game. When we go to London, it's like we are the home team. We are the home team, but we have a huge fan base in London. Huge fan base across the pond, and they are going to bring that energy. for our boys. I think we'll win in London. Coming back from the bye in week 8, we go to Washington to play the Commanders, who ended up 4-13 last season. We beat them last season. We better beat them this season. They may have a little bit more to play for, but we should be able to handle the Washington Commanders. Moving on from that, going into week 9 on November the 3rd. Why can't I talk? The Arizona Cardinals. 4-13 last season. I expect that to be a win. And then we play at home the New England Patriots. Look, do we fully expect the New England Patriots to stink another year? Because last year they finished 4-13. Regardless of whether they stink or not, I think we should be able to handle the New England Patriots. And then we start in week 11, moving into these divisional games. The divisional games begin with the Green Bay Packers on November 17th. They were 9-8 last season. Green Bay leads the series against us 107-95-6. I feel like at 9-8 last season, we should be able to handle the Green Bay Packers this season. Same with the Minnesota Vikings on November 24th. We should be able to handle them as well. Those are all noon games, and they are at home. We should be able to handle them at home. Minnesota ended up 7-10 just like we did, but they didn't get Caleb Williams in the offseason, right? Moving on to our Thursday game, which is our Thanksgiving game at Detroit. So we're going to Detroit against the Lions, who finished last season 12-5, won the division. We lead the series 105-78-5, but I do believe that Detroit might have our number. We need to split these games with Detroit no matter what, but this first one being away game, this could go either way. Moving on, San Francisco 49ers in week 14. We are going to San Francisco. San Francisco leads our series 35-33-1. They went 12-5 last season. I can see them handling us in week 14. At the same time, by this time in the season, we should know who our offense is. And if Caleb Williams really is him, we'll know it by week 14. And maybe we'll surprise the San Francisco 49ers. I think the Detroit Lions is going to bring it because it's a divisional games, but the San Francisco 49ers are, I guess they're within our reach. We can beat them by week 14 if everything goes well. Moving into December 16th with the Minnesota Vikings. That is a Monday night game, y'all. And we'll be playing Minnesota in December. It could be their game. Week 16, we have the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions at noon. And I think that this is a home game. We should be able to beat them. So if we don't beat them in Detroit, which I really don't expect us to be honest. If we don't beat them in Detroit, we need to beat them at the crib. Then we go into another Thursday night game against Seattle. That one is on December 26th. Did I say what the date was for the Detroit Lions? December 22nd. December 26th, we'll be at home against Seattle. Seattle leads the series 11-8-0. They went 9-8 last season. I think that could be a win. Am I being too optimistic? Y'all let me know. I think that could be a win. And then our final game of the season is to be decided whether it's going to be a Sunday, Monday, Thursday night game. It's probably not going to be a Thursday night. It'll either be a Sunday or a Monday night. This one is against Green Bay. This one is at Green Bay. Green Bay might try to take our heads off. They went 9-8 for the season last year. If we don't beat them at the crib, it's a definite we have to win that game. So, if things happen the way I think they may happen, we should end up 10-7. Will that be enough to win the division? I am not going to be sure until I do a real honest breakdown of Green Bay and Detroit's schedule, because that will let me know who they are playing against. And my understanding and, talking to some of my friends, they got a tough schedule, but they are tough teams. We have the hard way out through the North, period. we have a tough way to make it to the playoffs without the wild card. Because even if we get through the North, we still have to get through the NFC. And getting through the NFC is not a cakewalk anymore. We have tough teams. So yeah, I'm looking real forward to seeing how things play out. I didn't even play around with our preseason schedule because I think that we will still be working out some kinks with Hard Knock and with our new parts on our offense and defense for that matter, especially since, Caleb is coming in. He has to get used to playing under center, and we have to come up with a starting center. And then some of those parts in the offense, we need to smooth things out. So I'm not worried about preseason. I'm really worried and really concerned about how we perform in that first half of this season. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm super interested in hearing your thoughts. And that's a wrap on today's Chi-Town Blitz Report. Do me a huge favor, subscribe, rate, and review. I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out with me today, and I'll catch you next time. Bear down.